Hello, family, church family, and GCS, our nonprofit, and the ministry at TCI, and all the wonderful people out there around the world and America who follow us and pay attention to what we're doing. We hope we make an impact in your life. Today, I just want to briefly touch base with everyone and kind of talk about. I've had a couple church members call me, and they were doing what most of us do when we get bad news. We vent, and venting's good. You need to vent. Like a volcano, if it's always venting, then you're not going to have massive explosions. But if you don't get those vents out, and that lava gets stuck, and it's going to keep building, keep pressure, and then like St. Helens, you see the big bulge coming, and eventually it blows. Now, only idiots stand in the way of the explosion. And of course, there was a couple of those at St. Helens, and they're no longer with us. So upon stupidity, we can die from our choices. And venting is important. So I want to encourage you to learn to vent so you don't make major explosions in your life. But venting and meditating on the venting are two separate things. And this person was discussing with me their medications and how they've never really been on any meds, and the doctor prescribed them, I think it was 4 different medications. I don't quote me, it could be off by one, but I believe it was 4 medications, and the venting was the side effects that they cause. And I chuckled and started laughing, and my church member was like, "That ain't funny." And I'm like, "Actually, it's comical, and let me tell you why." So I took and showed him all of the meds, which if you go look on my Facebook, you'll see them. There is a huge stack of meds that I have to take, and I mean an enormous stack. And I sit there, and sorry about the wind, I know it's a little loud to hear, so I'll speak up. But I sit there and I explain all of those meds. And then, like that person, I explained every side effect of all the meds. By the time I was done, that person was ready to put a gun to their head and go, "Pew!" And I said, "But you only will hear me say, what an opportunity." And when you think about that, see, I used to be up over 40 prescription pills a day. And I remember I was complaining about it one time. And a friend of mine, she heard me, and so she came over and she goes, "Well, I'm on 50 plus medications a day." And I went to her house, we were having dinner, and that's how I found out about it. And she has infusions multiple times a week and a bunch of other stuff. And when I was listening, I'm like, well, then I better shut up. and I was in a wheelchair and barely able to move. But she was worse than I was. And then she looked at me and said, "There's worse people than her." And that's the point of this message. There are bad situations everywhere in this world, but there's always a worse situation. The ultimate is death. Thank God you're alive to fight for another day. Thank God you're alive to keep going. But you just got to stay focused and meditate on the positive, work on trying to eliminate all that negative, and then you'll see what happens. Most of you know I run a men's home for an organization, and this men's home doesn't pay its bills. The house that my guys live in, it has, and that includes me, it has black mold on one of the ceilings. It's just ripped open. The water, when it rains, comes through and down onto the floor. We have to open buckets all over the place to keep the water from piling on the carpet. I can continue. The porch was falling off until we forced them to get a new porch by threatening to take it to the housing department here in the county. And there's so much more. We now have half the downstairs has no lights because every time you touch the light, there's an electrical shock and sparks in the wires. So, it's real bad. Then we find out the electrical's always getting shut off every month, and the sewage is being shut off, the water and trash and all that stuff. So I got to collect money from these poor guys who are trying to stay clean and sober and are doing so under immense pressure to not go back to a life of crime or a life of drugs or whatever that life was. And they're educated now. They're getting educated. They're in the process of going through that education, be it school or a trade that I've got them in. And they're paying their $600 a month each to live in a room with 2 or 3 guys. 2 of them live in a little room that's literally was a 1-car garage, and it's now smaller than a 1-car garage because they put some sheetrock on it. And that's the one with all the rain dropping. It's horrible. It's a joke. It should not be allowed. But hey, they're convicts, right? It doesn't matter. And then we just found out that the organization that rents this place, or I should say leases this place, hasn't paid the rent to the man who owns the place. So we just got served with eviction papers. So I've got 13 days until myself and two amazing men are going to be out on the street. Now, do you see this face? Do you see me? I'm looking into two different cameras, and guess what? You don't see me sweating. You don't see me all stressed out. Why is that? Because there's nothing that stressing out is going to do to help me. Staying focused, finding the house that we can go to, finding the place, the land that we can get donated to our organization, which is a nonprofit, so that someone can get a tax write-off and still be able to make profit on their land. Those are the things I'm focused on. I'm not focused on, oh man, this is horrible. We got to live in black mold and water coming down, and no, it's horrible. You don't understand. Man, if I ever did that, I'd punch myself. So what you have to do is just stay focused. And focus on the positive. The positive is we have 13 days. That's amazing. I am so grateful for the next 13 days because the miracle's coming. And I'm going to do what I can to take my size 11 and kick the door open where it needs to be opened and close the door where it needs to be closed with people that call themselves Christians and call themselves good people and pretend to do those things that are good, but just don't really care. And I get it, folks. I get it. Working with convicts, you know what? They deserve what they get. I could say the same thing and say, you know what, guys, you all deserve the same thing you're getting. So instead, go back out, start gunning and running, start thieving and start robbing and raping and pillaging and destroying because no one cares about you. So you might as well go do the same thing they all think you are going to do. Become what they expect. Go ahead. Watch how fast society implodes on itself. Instead, what we do is we say, no. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how many jobs you got to get. I don't care how many times you get turned down from the job because you're an ex-con. I don't care that you're living in Swallow and no one cares about you. I don't care about that. Here's what I care about. 10% of life is what comes to you. 90% of it is what we do with it. You've heard me say that 1,000 times. You're going to hear me say it 1,000 or 1,000,000 more. So what are you going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? I'm going to keep this smile on my face. I'm going to say, thank you, God, for this opportunity. See, I don't see problems. People see problems, but I don't. What I see are opportunities. So this is an opportunity for me to help these two men stretch a little, grow a little in their faith, figure out, you know what, we can make this happen. Absolutely. And so in doing so, we're making better men that are never going back to prison. They're never going to come and rob your house. They're never going to come and beat you up. They're not going to assault you on the street. These two men and the other men that are part of this organization that have gone out now, that have got into their own homes and have now jobs and they're working. These guys, now they're becoming the pillars in our communities. They've got their voting rights back. They understand that their voice is important. They understand that they are productive citizens paying taxes in the city and county and state and are going to be accountable for that and hold our politicians accountable for that. I'm not just building up an army of guys that were dangerous. No, what I'm building up are men who need to be mentored, and that's what we're doing. So if any of you out there ever get yourself in a position right now where you feel like the whole world's falling in on you, it's okay. The whole world's falling in on me almost all the time. And guess what? You still see this smile. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, that's just 10% of life. Evictions, 10% of life. Even though you paid all your bills, doesn't matter. The guy that you paid it to didn't pay it. Doesn't matter. It's only 10% of life. 90% of it is what you do with it. Someone asked me, why is it you always have a 6-figure job waiting for you somewhere? Anytime I want to travel, I got a 6-figure job waiting for me. Anytime. Why is that, they say? And I answer it really easy. Because of this. This, what I just described to you. Because no matter what happens, no matter when the tornado comes to the, Tulsa, Oklahoma like it did, and it shut down the city and it tore up houses, the next day we were back on the street. We were at our sales office. We were making millions for the company. We don't let anything hold us back. We had Edwards, I think was the hurricane that was coming up the Gulf, and it got into Alabama, blew our entire operation, shut it all down, had to send all my sales guys to other states to even get out of there because they were shutting the airports down. Because I just smile and say, it's okay, we're going to go to another city, we're going to make up for that lack of sales, and that's how you do it. That is how you just keep pushing and you keep smiling. And the powers to be, the people that had money, the people that were around me that made decisions, those people, they said, oh my gosh, I got to keep this guy on my staff. So they pony up and say, yeah, we want you. Keep coming. We'll pay you $500,000. Absolutely. Because you make us millions. and you smile. And the millions didn't come just because maybe I was talented. The millions came because of my attitude. See, your attitude is going to create your altitude. What you do with your attitude will determine how high you will go in this world. So if you got a crappy attitude and everything's someone else's fault and nothing's your fault and you have nothing to be responsible for, then guess what? You're a bum, you're going to be a bum, and that's all you're going to be. I know, that's harsh, but that's a reality. And so sometimes we got to remember when we look in the mirror, no, is it my fault that the man that I pay the checks to doesn't pay his bills? Not at all. But you know what? That's just 10% of life. So we're going to go and find a way to take and go around it, find a way to overcome it, find a way to blow through it, under it, a tunnel. It doesn't matter. We're going to find a way. And that's how you get through it in life. That's how you go through 4 heart attacks. That's how you go through 33 mini strokes. That's how you overcome 2 massive strokes. That's how when they tell you you can't walk, talk, eat, poop, pee, wipe yourself, nothing, this guy, that's how you get through that. When you have $20 to your name only a few years ago when I went through that divorce and all the horror that encompassed that, and I started out with $20 to my name. I had about $6,000 saved up that I was expecting to be there, and somebody used it. It's gone. So, what do? You smile and you say, it's okay, I'm going to make it. And you go find a job, and you find a second job, and you find 3 jobs, and you work 20 hours a day, and you put that money together, and then you go out and you buy some products, you sell some products while working your jobs. So now you're really working 4 jobs, and you're exhausted, and then you parlay that into 5,000, which turns into 6 figures. And that's what I did in less than, 6 months? 7 months? So you would have never accomplished that, is what I'm telling you. This guy, I would have never accomplished any of that. I'd still be in a bed, probably dead, probably not alive, had I thrown in the towel. So why are you throwing in the towel? Don't throw in the towel. The great architect of the universe spoke words, as we referred to it, or a thought. And that thought and the words were, let there be light. Guess what? The Big Bang happened. Just the words, let there be light. Boom. Everything explodes and starts to create and starts to metamorphose into this beautiful thing called the universe. And our lives then began, and we have this beauty called life. Okay? You are that child of that creator, God. You have the same power. You have, what is it Jesus said to all the disciples? You will go on to do greater things than what he did. That means we have the right to speak life into death. We can raise our situation, like this situation with the one men's home. It is a death. It is death. It is death. We refuse to use that. We speak life. We speak life. We speak life. And I know some of you go, that's stupid. That positive stuff doesn't work. Go have all those problems that I just named that I have and be negative and watch. You'll be dead within a month. You wouldn't even make it probably 2 weeks. Okay, without that positive attitude. It's the only thing that got me through it all, because I was staying positive, because I knew I was a child of God. And I claimed that power and authority over my life. And I claim it over everybody around me. And I speak it into your life right now. That you'll stop being a coward. That you'll stop being fearful. That you'll start walking in authority. That you'll start walking in positiveness. It doesn't mean you don't address the negative things. Oh my gosh, listen, I'm dealing with so much negativity right now, I can't even begin to tell you. My whole entire life is upheaved, thrown up, don't know where anyone's going to be living in less than a week and a half. 2 weeks, actually, I think. 13 days, well, close to 2 weeks. But you know what? That's an opportunity. What are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So, God bless. I love you guys. God loves you. You know the drill. Live positive as you go out there this week. Let's get this focused on the positive and not the negative.